Joyce Casper, we never forgot. We never gave up. The Boise Police Department never gave up.
I can remember her working late at night. Just, I think she's not ever going home. When does she ever take a day off?
Employees tried to put on a brave front, despite the shock that their boss had been murdered.
It can be frustrating. Going through a cold case, it's like looking through a needle in a haystack.
I remember getting this case and just being so determined to find justice for her, because women like her paved the way for women like me.
Casper was found dead in her car that morning near Day Drive and Robert Street. The initial investigation focused on a report Joyce had filed about a man who tried to assault her a few weeks prior, but no suspect was ever arrested for either crime.
While police say they have no suspects yet, Joyce's friends, family, and employees have to wait and wonder how and why Joyce Casper died Monday night.
To finally know for sure what happened and to be 100% sure, and it's like, you read a book, you want to know how it ends. It's been an important aspect of our life, and I find great relief in knowing.
In 1987, 65-year-old Joyce Casper was found dead blocks away from her Vista Village business. Years after the case went cold, Boise police say they reopened the case in 2017. With new DNA technology, police say they were able to close in on one particular family.
My name is Lisa Lewis, Lisa Lewis. I'm a forensic genealogist with Identifinders International. So when they go through the evidence and they find they have DNA, they'll give us a call and we will review the evidence and decide how best to process it.
Paul Jagosh, Jagosh.
All right, and what's your official title?
I'm a violent crimes detective.
It looked like business as usual inside Joyce Casper's store today. Employees tried to put on a brave front, despite the shock that their boss had been murdered. Employees say that's what she would have wanted.
Well, thank you. I've had a lot of phone calls today. I got here about 1:30, and it's one after the other. A lot of people, wanting to help.
She was working at her store, a Hallmark store on Vista. She worked late. She was a very hard worker. It sounds like she was leaving the back of the store, and that's where we believe that she was kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed.
All day, people have been calling to offer their sympathies. It's been Joyce Casper's store here for the past 35 years. It was her life. Anita Burgess was a steady customer over the years.
I can remember her working late at night. Just, I think she's not ever going home. When does she ever take a day off? And it was just her love. I guess after her husband passed away, she just picked up the pieces and tried to put everything back together.
Joyce was an amazing woman. She was a business owner in the 80s. That wasn't super common for women. She was a role model and a leader and a mentor, and she was a strong woman. And I remember getting this case and just being so determined to find justice for her.
Store manager John Blanchard was too upset to talk on camera, but he told me the shock of Joyce's death was like a bad dream come true. Today, the Mall Association was busy making sure outside lighting was beefed up around Vista Village.
Back in the 80s and before, we didn't understand DNA. We didn't know that it could be used to identify people. We didn't know it was individual to us. And law enforcement didn't know to keep it. The detectives in this case, when Joyce Casper was murdered, were very forward-thinking. And they collected evidence and saved it and properly stored it.
Police do not think the person who killed Joyce Casper was out to rob her store. But one lead they are following up is that Casper apparently had an argument with a juvenile outside her store recently. Sources say he had demanded money, and when she refused, a slapping match occurred. While police say they have no suspects yet, Joyce's friends, family, and employees have to wait and wonder how and why Joyce Casper died.
There was ample DNA evidence from this case, and because the detectives stored it properly without any procedures in place to know that they were doing it correctly, it was a miracle, really.
Joyce Casper, we never forgot. We never gave up. The Boise Police Department never gave up.
DNA profile obtained from crucial evidence collected at the scene in 1987 was submitted to a private DNA forensics lab, which also began developing family genealogy information for the suspect.
When I took over, I decided to start from scratch so that I could see if there was anything that was missed. So I started over with the tree, and when I was looking at records, I noticed the dad had 2 daughters from his first wife who had passed that got lost in the shuffle. They were essentially ghosts, and there was a lot of untangling that I had to do.
Detectives say DNA evidence eventually led them to the grown children of a man who lived in the Treasure Valley. That man, Frank Rodriguez, who lived in Boise around the time of the murder.
We often have to piece it together like a puzzle piece. Well, if this person is on this document and it names these people, we need to find something that links those people to something else in that person's life. So we're fitting the pieces together and building an overall picture of the family. So I gave the detective a list of family members to interview, people who I thought would be connected to their family.
In the spring of 2023, Violent Crimes Unit detectives flew to Southern California, where they were able to obtain DNA samples from Rodriguez's 2 sons. Those samples were later analyzed and proved to be a genetic match to the suspect.
I have a lot of respect for his widow and his boys who did this courageous thing. Like, as hard as I worked to identify him, it would have been for nothing if they hadn't cooperated, if they had not recognized their contribution to the family, to Joyce's family, to the community. It was huge.
Detectives say Rodriguez lived in the area up until his passing in 2007. His death caused by a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
And what was it like delivering the news to her family that her case has been solved?
It was good. It was kind of bittersweet, because they knew what happened to their mom all of these years, and they never knew who the suspect was, any kind of a motive. They didn't really have any closure.
Casper's 3 grown adult children remembering their mother.
To finally know for sure what happened and to be 100% sure, and it's like, you read a book, you want to know how it ends. I mean, it's been an important aspect of our life, and I find great relief in knowing.